37-year-old Matthew Perna walked into the Capitol building through an open door on January 6, 2021. He didn't damage any property. He assaulted no one. When he learned the FBI was looking for him later, he turned himself in immediately. He was a law-abiding, patriotic man. The Biden administration then tried to destroy his life. They charged him with crimes that would have sent him to prison for many years. Many of his friends, some of his relatives even disowned him. And in the end, Matt Perna killed himself on February 25th of this year. One of the saddest stories to come out of January 6th, and there are many. Jerry Perna is his aunt, and she joins us tonight. Jerry, thanks so much for coming on. So this came to our attention when we read the obit for your nephew that was so affecting, so moving, made me emotional reading it. You were just telling me off camera that the paper in which it ran tried to edit the obit?
They did. They actually refused to print 2 lines of the obit.
What were those lines?
Well, the first line was Matthew was escorted into the Capitol by Capitol Police, which he had on his phone recorded.
So you have video of that?
Oh, we did, until they confiscated everything. And then the second line was, there are many people responsible for his death. And they refused to put either one. They said we had no proof of either.
The newspapers?
The newspaper did.
So even in death, he was not allowed to tell his story?
Exactly.
Okay. So that kind of sums up the level of injustice that we're dealing with here. What was the Justice Department trying to do to your nephew?
Well, according to what his attorney told us, was a week before Matt's sentencing hearing on March the 3rd, Matt called his attorney, and his attorney said that they're going to delay the sentencing hearing again because they're looking to add additional infractions. And we weren't exactly sure what that meant. We thought, was that a charge? And they said, no, it's not a charge. They're just going to try to influence the judge at the very last minute. We found later that the enhancement, not infraction, enhancements, were actually going to add 8 points to his scale. Like he was at a 14, they were going to add 8 points, and that would have bumped him up to 51 to 72 months in jail for a nonviolent crime of walking into the Capitol, not touching anything, not breaking anything, not stealing anything, and no altercations with police.
Walking into the people's house.
The people's house.
And he was going to do more than 4 years in prison for that.
Exactly. And we're not sure if Matt knew how many months were going to be added to his potential 6 to 12 months, is what his attorney kept saying. But that Friday evening, Matt hung himself in his garage. We knew he couldn't do a day in jail. He had already put himself in a mental prison for the last year, more than a year. He was afraid to leave his home. They took away his income. They took away everything. He lost
walking
everything.
Into the Capitol.
For walking
and you're
into
not
the
leaving
Capitol.
anything. I mean, we've looked into this. No one even accused him of hurting anyone or breaking anything.
No. And he just couldn't handle it anymore. He was being persecuted and judged from every angle. And let's talk about the people sitting in the jails in D.C. right now. They haven't even been convicted of a crime, and they've been in jail for 14 months already. Where does this happen?
So this is what Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger and Nancy Pelosi are
Yes.
doing. When he died, your nephew died, did any of them call you?
No. As a matter of fact, Matthew Graves, who is the district attorney the U.S. attorney for the District of Columbia, they took 14 days to drop the charges off of Matt. And still, we have not heard one ounce of condolences or sympathy card or a phone call or anything. Nothing. They just basically wrote him off.
So he was a Republican voter, obviously. No felony record that I'm aware of.
No.
An upstanding, law-abiding, patriotic
Never
man.
had a parking ticket.
So he was driven to death by the Justice Department. Did Mitch McConnell call to offer his condolences?
Absolutely not.
No. Okay. So how do you feel about the leaders of the party that he voted for and supported who have completely abandoned your family?
I know, with the exception of a few. I mean, we made dozens of phone calls to dozens of congressmen and congresswomen from both sides of the aisle. Not one phone call was ever returned. And just a couple of months ago, you had Ted Cruz on here, who called them terrorists. I'm sorry, but he could apologize until the cows come home. He said it, and you called him out on it. They are playing both sides of the fence here. They're afraid of losing votes. They're afraid of losing support. At the cost of what? People like my nephew, Matt. And how many more other Matts are there going to be? surely there are other people who are going to be pushed to this brink. And we received thousands of things in his guest book from other people who have people that have January 6th cases against them. And one mother cried out to us, she has 2 sons that walked through the Capitol. So she's dealing with this double, facing felonies for walking through.
My last question to you, and this whole subject makes me so sad, and I'm grateful that you're able to talk about it. Was he in Washington to overthrow the government?
No. Matthew was there because he thought for sure there was going to be good news that day, that Pence was not going to certify the election, and it was going to be a celebration.
Yep.
That's why he was there. And it turned out to be the worst mistake he could have made. It ruined his life, and now we no longer have him. And it's a tragedy on all levels. But
so these are the people being punished. There are a lot of people not being punished right now.
A lot of people are not.
That's right. Jerry Perna, I appreciate your coming on. I know it's hard.
I thank you so much for having me.